So President Cyril Ramaphosa will later today address the nation and provide some kind of update on government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This coincides with the extended 14 days of level 4 lockdown also coming to an end. South Africa, as you remember, being placed under alert level 4 restrictions since the 27th of June. But many say that hasn't necessarily slowed down the spread, at least of the third wave of infections. So we want to ask this morning, what should be the major points of focus in the president's speech, at least towards businesses? To try and unpack this, let's bring in Analyst at Ubuntunomics, Sbu Nyathi, who joins us now via our video link. Sbu, great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for making time. Full disclosure, none of us know whether or not we're related, but it's great to speak to you nonetheless. Let's jump straight into it. I mean, what does good news for businesses sound like insofar as you're concerned as we lead up to the president's address?
Thank you for having me, and good morning to your viewers as well. Good news coming from the president would have to be a message that contains deferrals, tax deferrals. It would have to contain support grants for mainly your small and medium enterprises. It would also have to include support for the tourism, hospitality sector, because that sector has been hit for the second time now, and it employs about 1.4 million people, which is roughly about 10% of the formally employed people in South Africa. So we expect him to also this time around try introduce something like a production grant also, and also make good on his promise for employment, because last time they set aside 100 billion rand for job creation. Only 12.2 billion was used. So we want to, South Africa needs jobs. Yeah. Basically, that's what we saw in last week's civil unrest. So the money is there. They should spend it, implement their plans. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned last week's unrest. In fact, this is going to be the first address since many companies and businesses have been able to take stock of the cost of the violence that we've witnessed in the week gone by. How does the president address specifically that issue? Does it look like a new, different kind of relief insofar as you're concerned, or stick to what you promised and make sure that you actually implement it fully this time around?
I mean, the main point of contention is always where will the money come from, and so this time around there is that allocation. If you remember, there was that the 100 billion rand I'm talking about is from that 500 billion rand stimulus that he spoke of last time, and so with the unrest. Business and government at NEDLEC last week had a meeting, and business have said that they are going to carry on and start rebuilding. They won't even wait for their insurances to pay out. So business is willing, is ready to get on with things, and so government has said that they will implement their plans concerning township economies and rural development. But I don't see how they will be able to do that if they could not even implement on what they had already set out to do the previous time. Because if you're talking about rural development and township economies, you have to also include production. Because currently what we're seeing in townships is that we have all of these malls which encourage consumption, but there are no factories in the townships. So South Africa has to move away from this consumption-led model towards a more production-oriented approach.
Let me come in there, Sbu. You speak about township economies, again, in the backdrop of what took place in the week gone by. What kind of chords should the president be striking later this evening to at least inject back some kind of business confidence in township economies? As you might appreciate, many people are asking questions like, is it actually worthwhile putting up investments in township? It's a question that was asked in the past before, but it looks like it's emerging because, again, of the violence we've seen in the week gone by.
No, you have to ask. It brings us back to what I was talking about, because you have to ask, what is investment in the townships? Investment in the townships is currently shopping malls, and in my view, that is not what we should be looking for. So to answer your question, business is already prepared. They're saying we are going to go in. So there's no, they are going to go in. So there's no doubt about it. There is confidence already, because you must remember that business prices into their model already, into their pricing structure, risks. They know that there is a high inequality in South Africa. They also know that there is high unemployment. So this is already priced in. So all they want the government to do currently is provide security in the townships, and they will go in and rake in the money. They'll just go in and
Sure.
Yeah.
Got you. Sbu Nyathi, thanks very much indeed. Appreciate your insights on this matter. Sbu Nyathi is an analyst at Ubuntunomics. Once again, thanks very much indeed for your time.